I had this idea kind of floating around in my head since I was a little kid, actually. The real true inspiration comes from this Jim Henson movie called The Dark Crystal, and there's a life-size orrery in there, because back then they didn't have computer animation, so they actually built a mechanical orrery for the movie, and I thought it was the coolest thing when I was a kid. So when I actually got experience and welding experience throughout, my career. I started out as a welder, and then I was also an artist, and then I mixed the two eventually later on in my life, and this is the product of that. And I was like, oh, now I can finally execute this idea I had. I was always going to do like a kind of a fantasy universe or a fantasy solar system, but then as I started researching it and looking into our own solar system, our own solar system is really quite unique and fascinating on its own, and so I thought, why not just do ours, and then people can identify with it. That's why it's our solar system. One of the most common questions I get is it to scale, and I always say, of course it's not to scale, because, and this is the learning moment, if it was to scale, we would be able to see one part of it maybe, but we would have to travel across town to go see the other components of the planet spinning around, and or you could shrink it down really tiny, and it would be, but it would still, the planets would be, even the sun would be so small you could barely see it. It would be a speck. So this is a way so we can see everything at once as an art piece rather than the actual physical representation. This is an artistic representation. From the beginning, I've started out with the Flaming Lotus Girls, and with the Flaming Lotus Girls we do everything big and extravagant and lots of fire and big poofs. This is my first project on my own. I had a lot of the Flaming Lotus Girls on my crew, and actually I got one of the Flaming Lotus Girls to help me with the fuel, and I wanted to start out with something really kind of more beginner for my level, because I'm not as experienced of a fire artist, more of a sculptor, but not as a fire artist, and so I wanted my first fire effect to be fairly easy to maintain and just sort of subtle, and I liked the idea of it just being sort of cooking away, like the sun kind of cooks away all day, and every once in a while it, shoots out some flares, and so this is how it ran at Burning Man pretty much. Yeah.